Get your ghetto ass out of my hotel. That's the first thing he said to me. He took my black card, dropped it onto the marble like it was gum stuck to his shoe, then twisted his heel until metal scraped stone. Tell me this, have you ever been called trash in a building you own? It was 11:47 p.m. at the Sterling Grand. In Chicago, that cold blue lobby light crystal throwing sparkles on polished floors, air smelling like lemon and money. I travel the way I live, simple and free. Canvas sneakers, worn jeans, white cotton shirt. Messenger bag that's seen more airports than most people, no jewelry, except a watch I don't baby. I walked up with a smile small enough not to bother anybody and slid my phone across the counter. Confirmation email, penthouse 45501, paid 6 months in advance. I have a reservation, I said the way 1,000 people say it every night. The night manager, Derek, barely looked. He sneered, said, Photoshop is a thing, and the clerk next to him, Sarah, giggled into her hand, like cruelty was an inside joke you had to be on payroll to understand. Pattern interrupt. Didn't apologize. I didn't explain who I was. I just breathed and checked the lobby clock again, because I had a Tokyo call in 13 minutes that could lock a $200 million deal, and all I needed was a room, a table, a charger, and 5 minutes of quiet. Ma'am, this is a 5-star property, Derek said, voice sliding around the marble like oil. He gestured at the chandeliers, the Italian stone, the carved desk, the people pretending not to stare. We host CEOs, diplomats, real money. Look around. Does anyone here look like they just rolled out of a Walmart parking lot? He said it loud enough to make sure the elderly couple on the velvet chairs heard loud enough so the man in the $1,000 suit, pretending to be on a call, could nod without committing. Sarah whispered, should I get the mop? That card probably has diseases, and then she laughed, because it felt safer to choose a side. I could feel the heat rise, not embarrassment, just that quiet anger that happens when a stranger reads your life by your shoes. I opened my bag an inch so he could see the first-class boarding pass to Tokyo tucked against the same black Amex he'd just tried to stomp to death. Context should have helped. It didn't. He called security. Marcus up front, he snapped like summoning help for a wild animal in the lobby. Marcus Thompson walked over. 6 feet navy blazer, a name tag that actually said Officer Thompson. Eyes kind, posture, careful. He had that look people get when they know they didn't create the problem, but they've just been handed the microphone. Ma'am, I'm going to need you to come with me, he said, polite, measured. Officer Thompson, I said, reading his tag, before you do anything, could you check your employee handbook section 14.3? He blinked surprised like I'd asked him the square root of the carpet. What are you talking about? Just check it, I said, and waited. Pattern interrupt. Silence in the most expensive way. Derek laughed sharp and bright and empty. She watched a YouTube video about tenant rights. He told the room classic scammer move, throw around section numbers, act confident, get a free night. He turned his body toward the crowd, the way people do when they want witnesses for their power. Then waved over the assistant manager, Patricia, who came out of the back holding a stack of reports like a shield. We've got a situation, he announced, fake documents, sob story, and Patricia looked me up and down slow like reading a label for allergens. Government ID, she said loudly, that proves you can afford a $2,800 suite. I handed it to her. She held it up to the chandelier, checked the hologram, and I swear to God she smelled it, then announced it could be fake, and asked Derek if she should call the police before or after security escorted me out. Do you think that's fair? Meanwhile, a young woman on the lounge sofa, Jennifer Kim, angled her phone and went live. Y'all, I'm witnessing discrimination right now, she whispered, and the viewer count jumped like a heartbeat. 89,156. The business traveler by the column stopped pretending to talk and started recording for real. The elderly couple breathed like they were trying not to inhale the scene. My phone buzzed in my pocket, my assistant asking if I was ready for Tokyo in 10, because meetings start at the same time whether you're respected or not. 11:54 p.m. 6 minutes left. Derek dialed 911 with the confidence of a small-town sheriff and performed concern into the phone. Jennifer's live chat started to organize itself. Tag corporate, tag the chain, tell people to call, tell people to watch. And you could feel the lobby's temperature shift from chilly judgment to a humid kind of attention. Patricia's phone buzzed. She glanced down and the color ran out of her face. "Derek," she whispered, "Horpret is asking about a discrimination incident in Chicago tonight night shift." He waved her off, but the corner of his jaw twitched like a power line in a storm. Marcus checked his own phone, scrolled fast, lifted his head with a look. "I've seen in boardrooms right before a vote." "Derek," he said carefully, "Section 14.3. Immediate termination for discriminatory behavior, personal liability for reputational damage." He showed Derek the screen like a mirror. Derek snapped, "I don't care if the president is watching. This is my lobby, my decision." Sarah, still typing, said quietly, without looking up, "There have been 17 complaints this year." She said it like a person realizing what her fingers have been sending to the printer. 2 minutes to midnight. I reached into my messenger bag and pulled out a leather portfolio. I laid a single sheet on the marble. Sterling Hotel Group letterhead gleamed under those crystals like a crown. "What is this?" Derek said, the last of his swagger flickering. "Your quarterly performance report," I answered. "Revenue down 23%, guest satisfaction 2.3 out of 5 staff turnover, 89% occupancy, 67 when the industry sits at 85. Patricia leaned in, blinking hard. "How do you have this? That's confidential." I placed a black business card next to it. Simple serif font, my name, Richardson Ventures, Chief Executive Officer. He stared like he didn't know the alphabet. The twist lands now. I turned my iPad, tapped the corporate leadership page. My headshot looked back at us, same face, same hair, different suit, under a sentence the whole lobby read at once. Majority shareholder, Richardson Ventures acquired Sterling Hotel Group for $847 million on March 15, 2025. Ownership stake 67%. Yeah, that happened. Silence, real silence, the kind that makes you hear HVAC hum and shoe leather creak. Jennifer's live ticked past 4,000 viewers and then 5 comments piling up like confetti. The business traveler laughed once short like a man who'd seen everything and just saw something new. Derek grabbed the counter to keep his knees from quitting. Patricia's mouth opened and closed with no words. Sarah's fingers froze above the keyboard like birds mid-flight. "I can't be what Derek?" I asked softly. "Successful the owner. A woman who wears sneakers and still signs your paychecks. A human being who deserved the basic dignity you give a marble column." He tried the classic pivot. "If you had told us who you were." And I cut him off with the simplest truth we forget. I did. I told you I was a guest with a confirmed reservation. You decided that wasn't enough. My phone lit up. Tokyo calling. I answered without breaking eye contact. "Yamamoto-san, I'm ready. I'm conducting an audit in Chicago. The issues are worse than we expected, but the solution is underway. I ended the call because the most important business meeting is the one you're standing in." I plugged my laptop into the lobby display. The screen blinked to our logo, then a black slide white text. Operational audit. Chicago location. December 17th, 2025. No music. No drama. Just numbers you can't argue with. Monthly revenue, 1.8 to 1.2. Guest satisfaction, 2.3, when the industry standard sits at 4.2. Staff turnover, 89%, which is not a stat, it's a siren. Then the names. Derek, 23 formal complaints, 17 written warnings, 4 coaching sessions, documented latest review. Patricia, 19 complaints in 6 months. 7 of 8 mystery shops failed diversity training overdue. 8 months customer service certification expired. The live stream chat turned into a waterfall of "you love to see it." And she brought receipts. And this is a masterclass. And for once, the internet was paying attention to something that might help somebody tomorrow morning. "Marcus," I said, and he stood a little straighter. "Please read section 14.3 to the room." He read it, voice steady. Immediate termination without severance for discriminatory behavior. Potential personal liability for brand damage. Derek opened his mouth closed. It looked small under a chandelier that had been his crown 5 minutes earlier. Derek Walsh, Patricia Wong. I said, center of the lobby, I own in the voice I use with boards that think a nice chart is a strategy. You have 3 choices. 1, immediate resignation, neutral reference, you walk out tonight. 2, termination for cause, it lives on your record forever, no reference, potential, civil action. 3, full HR investigation, 3 to 6 months, depositions, media your names in headlines. You have 60 seconds to decide. Pattern interrupt. The room stopped breathing. Even the live chat slowed like it knew not to step on the moment. The clock blinked to 12:00 a.m. "I resign," Derek said, voice thin as paper, and he set his badge on the marble with a tiny click that sounded like a gavel. "Resignation," Patricia whispered, mascara mapping the truth across her face. They both looked at me for mercy. I gave them policy, the same thing they tried to use as a weapon against me, and that felt right, because fairness isn't a mood. It's a standard you can point to from any angle. Then I turned to Sarah. "What's your choice?" She swallowed, found her voice. "I want to learn. I judged you by your clothes and your race." I laughed when I should have spoken up. "I don't want to be that person." Marcus took a step forward. "I want to help fix this place. I should have pushed harder. I will." I believed them not because their words were pretty, but because their eyes were steady. "Stick around because what happened next will blow your mind." I put our regional director on speaker. "Janet, it's Maya. I need Keisha Williams reassigned from Boston to manage Chicago starting tomorrow morning, full authority. And call Dr. Amanda Foster, 48-hour emergency training for the entire staff." I hung up and advanced the slide. Guest Dignity Initiative. QR codes throughout the property so any guest can report discrimination in real-time reports go straight to corporate, not through the local filter that failed tonight. New cameras with audio in public spaces, not to spy on employees, but to protect guests and staff when stories collide. Monthly bias training with teeth, guest satisfaction, tied directly to compensation, so the soft skills become hard numbers. Community oversight through the Chicago Urban League quarterly reviews, with people who don't owe us anything, because accountability means someone outside can say, "No, try again." The business traveler nodded like a consultant who finally saw a plan he didn't need to water down. The elderly woman said, "We should have said something, and I told her we would teach bystander intervention to staff and guests, because stepping in isn't instinct. It's a muscle, and muscles grow when you work them on purpose." I handed Jennifer a card. She asked me on camera, "How are you so calm? How do you not hate them?" I told her the truth. Hatred is exhausting. Revenge burns hot, and then you're cold again. Systemic change is like building a furnace. Hard work, steady heat keeps everyone warm. If I spend my time punishing individuals, I change one lobby. If I build a system that makes the wrong thing hard and the right thing normal, I change 847 lobbies. You know what I mean? It was 12:03 when I told Sarah her shift had ended 15 minutes ago, but I wanted her to stay another hour to begin retraining. She said yes immediately. I asked Marcus to escort Derek and Patricia out. Collect keys, deactivate access, no drama, just closure. He did it with that quiet dignity people have when they choose the right side late, but still choose. Then we went to work, not next week, not after the PR team crafted statements now. We drafted a one-pager for every elevator bank, explaining the Guest Dignity Initiative. We wrote a simple promise that says, if you speak, we'll listen, and we built the listening into the system, so it wasn't just a slogan on a brass plaque. 90 days later, there's an actual brass plaque on the same patch of marble where my card got crushed, in recognition of the dignity owed to every guest. The hotel sits at 4.6 stars revenue, up 34% hallway energy, different in a way you can feel before you can define. Sarah is a supervisor now, still nervous sometimes, but she walks around the desk to greet people because she says it reminds her who she works for. Marcus is guest relations manager, and I've seen him diffuse 3 tense moments by showing up early, asking a real question, and choosing respect over rules as a first move. Jennifer works in corporate comms. Now she still catches moments other people miss, and tells the truth about them in a way that makes you want to be better. A dad in paint-splattered pants checked in with his daughter. After an overnight shift, Sarah quietly upgraded them to a quiet floor, comped breakfast without a speech, told the kid the pool opens at 6, and when I read their review in a rental car parking lot, I cried not because of the rating, but because that is culture, and culture is the only strategy that survives shift change. Before you say, sure it worked, because you're the owner, let me be clear. It shouldn't take a title to get basic dignity. That's the part that still punches me in the chest. I like being comfortable when I travel. I like my sneakers and my clean face and my hair in a bun. I like not performing wealth to earn respect, and still, every room like that, I watch eyes do math they should stop doing. What brand is her bag? What's on her wrist? Who does she belong to? Who signed off on her existence? Some people need the costume to offer the courtesy. That's what we have to break, not with a viral moment, but with 1,000 small choices baked into how places work. So let me ask you straight. If it were you, what would you have done as the manager, as the clerk, as the security officer, as the bystander with a phone, as the older couple in silken tux? Would you have stepped in, or would you have told yourself you didn't know the full story and looked away? Do you think that's fair? And when accountability finally arrived, did we do it right in public with receipts on a screen, or should we have kept it behind HR doors where nobody gets embarrassed? What protects more people in the long run, transparency that stings, or privacy that soothes? I have my answer, but I want to hear yours. I walked in at 11:47. A tired traveler with a meeting on the clock, and a card scuffed by a stranger's heel, invisible to a room that thought it knew me by my shoes. I walked out after midnight with a lobby that sounded different, not because I'm the owner, and I said so, but because we took the story that always happens in whispers and wrote it down as policy with teeth. Hatred is exhausting. Revenge is temporary, systems last. Yeah, that happened. If this hit you, subscribe and turn on notifications, but more important, drop your take below. Argue with me, agree with me, tell me where I'm wrong or where you've seen it done better. Share your own story of being profiled or of stepping in. Tell me what stopped you or what changed you, And if you work the desk or the door, tell us what you need from leadership to do the right thing when it's loud and late and someone is watching. Share this with someone who needs to feel less alone tonight. Your voice matters. Your story matters. Your dignity is not negotiable. Let's build a comment section that changes the next lobby before anyone has to go live.